apparently the president apologized to everyone in the room, saying this is not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And he blamed the extensive foreign travel that he did in the lead up to the CNN debate for his poor performance. Just a reminder for everyone, he did go to France for the D-Day anniversary, and then he turned right back around and went to Italy for the G7 summit. And he told the room, I didn't listen to my staff. So the suggestion there being his staff did not think this was a good idea. And then he apparently said, I almost fell asleep on stage. I just want to unpack this new explanation for a second, as the explanation for why his debate performance was so bad. I find it a little bit puzzling, and frankly, I'm not sure that a lot of people are going to find this reassuring. If anything, some folks might hear this and be, even more concerned. Yes, there were 2 foreign trips in the lead up to the June 27th CNN debate, but he returned from Italy on June 15th. The debate, again, was on June 27th. So we're talking about roughly 12 days in between when he was back in the States. And remember, a part of those 12 days, about a full week, he actually spent with his advisors at Camp David for the sole purpose of really focusing on debate prep. So why is the president falling asleep on the debate stage at the hours of 9 p.m. to 10:30?
All right, guys. So in this continuation of the Democrat Party civil war, we have to talk about Joe Biden coming out here and giving the crazy excuse ever for why he had such a disastrous debate performance. Because Karine Jean-Pierre, the affirmative action press secretary, could not give us any answers in regards to why we saw that debate performance, okay? She basically tried to say that Joe Biden had a cold, okay? This is the excuse that the White House is putting out here. Some people in the mainstream liberal media are running with this. If you have no integrity, you are running with this. But a lot of people are saying BS, okay? We're not buying into this nonsense from the White House. And people are frustrated with the fact that Karine Jean-Pierre can never answer any questions, okay? So now the excuse they've come up with, now that Karine Jean-Pierre has gotten so much pushback for her non-answers, is that, well, Biden traveled a lot, okay? He was traveling a lot, and he was tired. He was sleepy. He could barely stay awake at the debate, which, by the way, I don't think that's a good thing to come out and say, especially how you have reports on how Biden is only functional from like 10 a.m. to like 4 p.m. Okay, so he's only functional for like 6 hours a day. And then outside of that, he can't do anything at all. Now, again, that begs the question of who the hell is running this country? Okay, I think we all know it's Jill, right? Jill Biden along with Obama, okay? I think that is a combination of them two. And then throw crackhead Hunter in there, and that's who you got, right? That's probably the people that are in charge for the most part, which, again, explains the disaster that is happening, okay, in this country right now. But anyways, again, Joe Biden is coming up with any excuse possible, okay, because he's trying to beg his donors and his supporters to continue to support him, despite the fact that it seems like polls are suggesting that Biden is in a full-blown freefall, that he cannot recover from this, and that he cannot beat Trump. He is getting blown out in some polls, like the CNN poll, and in the CBS poll, Trump has overtaken Biden, as in Trump has now taken the lead in a poll in which Biden was leading before. Take a look.
Growing pressure on President Biden from inside his own party after last week's very poor debate performance. And we now have a new CBS News poll. While the presumptive nominees are functionally tied, in our national poll, it shows a shift towards former President Trump. Now, our last poll had President Biden leading very slightly. The president was also in battleground states in the last poll. Now he is behind by 3 points, though that is still within the margin of error. This comes as the White House offers multiple explanations for the president's debate performance.
We'll use to push back on the president. Take a look overall at the state of the race in our brand new poll. 49% Donald Trump, 43% Joe Biden. This is a 6-point lead, Dana, and this is unchanged since our last poll in April. In fact, it's been a remarkably consistent race with Joe Biden trailing Donald Trump just outside the margin of error for quite some time. If you look back in our trend here, you see it was identical in April, 49-43. You see nothing has really changed since last August. By last fall, this race is kind of locked into place.
That's remarkable to look at that, even just from April to now. Exactly the same.
Identical. And the Biden campaign will say to folks, see, the debate didn't change the state of the race. Of course, when you're 6 points down, you kind of needed the debate to change the state of the race.
Yeah, so I think that CNN is leaving out some important context when it comes to analyzing their poll, because that poll result showing Trump up 6 initially was done in April. That was before the conviction, the New York hush money trial conviction. So when you factor that into it, plus the debate, you actually can say that Trump is up, because had they taken that poll after the conviction, I'm pretty sure Trump probably would have been down a few points. He probably still would have been leading, but it probably would have been like a 4-point lead, not necessarily a 6-point lead. So the fact that Trump is still up by 6 points is huge, okay? That is a landslide victory. A Republican being up by 6 points in the popular vote, the national vote. Again, I'm just saying that if the election was held today, according to the liberal media and Biden's own internal polling, allegedly, it's over, right? There's no chance for Biden to win. So now what you have are Democrats basically orchestrating a coup against Joe Biden, okay? You have a House Democrat that has already come out and said, you know what, Biden needs to step down. You have 25 House Democrats allegedly preparing to call for Biden to step down, which kind of is a big deal, because I have predicted up until this point that Biden's not going to step down. I'm still going to stick with my prediction, because I don't think that there is any practical way for Biden to step down and for Democrats to still have a chance to win, unless they decide to go with Kamala. I don't think that it's possible that Biden can step down and they have Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or all this stuff they're talking about in regards to some governor doing it. No, if Biden does step down, which is possible, I don't think he will, but it's possible that he will, it's going to be Kamala. And again, part of the reason why I believe this is because the polls essentially are showing that Kamala has the best chance of actually beating Trump outside of Biden.
And we tested what would it look like if Vice President Kamala Harris was in a matchup against Donald Trump and not Joe Biden. And the vice president actually does a little bit better against Trump than Joe Biden does. She pulls the race within margin of error, no clear leader. Donald Trump at 47, Kamala Harris at 45%. We also tested Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Gretchen Whitmer. You see here, those Democrats, they kind of perform like Joe Biden. Donald Trump is beating them right now outside the margin of error. Only Kamala Harris in this poll of these Democrats tested is getting this race within the margin of error, Dana.
Yeah. So again, what I feel is going to happen is that if Biden does step down, which I don't think he will, but he possibly could. I could be wrong. I don't know. I mean, he could be forced out. If he is actually forced out, okay, if there's too much pressure, right? If the donors say we're not going to donate, we have no confidence in Biden, we're not going to support this ticket, I think that Biden probably will step down. Okay, if that happens enough, it is a possibility. And if he does, it's going to be Kamala, right? It's not going to be anybody else, because if it's not Kamala, then essentially you will have another civil war within the Democrat Party. Right now, what Democrats have to do, they have to get on the same page, right? It's either going to be Biden or it's going to be Kamala. They have to pick one, right? Pick one and just stick with that. That's what they're going to have to do. All this talk about taking it up to the convention, which I think is in August, is silly talk in my opinion, because you don't have time, right? You do not have any time to play around anymore. You got to get it together, okay, if you want a shot, okay? And at this point, Kamala may give them the best chance, even though I think that she doesn't really have a shot either. I think that she's going to have the same issue that Joe Biden has. Once you put Kamala in that spotlight all the time, she's going to get ripped apart just like Joe Biden did. Because although Joe Biden sounds old and senile, like he has dementia, okay, Kamala just sounds high, right? She sounds high as hell every time she talks, okay? It's hard for me to believe that Kamala is not on some type of substance when I hear her speak about electric buses, okay, and the passage of time, okay, and all these weird things that Kamala likes to talk about. I just don't think she's that much better, okay, when she's put on a national stage. We saw what happened at the Democrat Party debate. When you put Kamala out there for everybody to see, right, turns out nobody likes her, okay? So, again, she's going to have the same issue. So, I personally think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't for Democrats at this point. They really don't have an option, which is their fault because they didn't have a primary. But it's fun to watch them pretend like they actually have a chance that they can turn this around, because I don't think that they can. But who knows? We will see. Again, 25 Democrats staging a coup against Joe Biden.
Well, and on this July 3rd, we start with a Fox News alert. More than 24 House Republicans are reportedly preparing to write a letter to President Biden to end his reelection effort if he continues to be shaky.
So this comes as a pair of congressional Democrats publicly declare they have no confidence in Biden's ability to win and serve another term.
Doug Lazater is live in Washington with all the details here. Hi, Doug.
Good morning, everyone. The president may be in danger now of a widespread revolt among Democrats. Here's what Reuters is now reporting. There are 25 Democratic members of the House of Representatives preparing to call for Biden to step aside if he seems shaky in coming days, according to one House Democratic aide. There is reportedly a staff meeting at the White House as something of a morale booster. And later, the president today will meet with a group of Democratic governors, hoping to convince them that he is capable of serving as president and defeating former President Donald Trump in November. At the same time, there are some cracks now emerging in that wall of support that we have seen from elected Democrats after the president's disastrous debate performance last week. Texas Congressman Lloyd Doggett among those now openly talking about the party finding another candidate.
This needed to be a decision that was made much earlier in the process, but I remain hopeful that despite all the input from his own staff and perhaps from some family members, that he'll look at these numbers and realize that this is a hill just too high for him to climb and call on someone else.
I actually don't see a path now for President Biden to stay in this race in the long term. I believe that there are stronger options out there for Democrats. We have a stable of folks that I think could do a better job. I believe that another Democrat would have a better shot at beating Trump.
All right, now let's talk about former President Obama. Officially, publicly, he is still in Biden's corner, but privately, he's concerned. According to the Washington Post, which writes this, Obama has long harbored worries about his party defeating Donald Trump in November, repeatedly warning Biden in recent months about how challenging it will be to win re-election. And the White House just made, for this administration, some extraordinary announcements. The president is going to sit down for a one-on-one interview later this week, and pretty soon he's going to actually have a press conference. These are things that this president generally doesn't do, so they are clearly trying to convince Democrats to circle the wagons here. Back to you guys.
And we know that Gavin Newsom, your governor out in Los Angeles, is going to be heading to the White House, and governor as well as the vice president. So we'll see if they rally around him. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
So we'll see, because people are talking about possible replacements, and then there's the practical side of it. There's a guy with over 1,000 delegates. His name is Joe Biden.
That's right.
And the vice president of the United States, even though she looks better in the head-to-head poll, in this poll with CNN, not in any others, she was trailing by about 6 or 7 points. And who would want to jump in this bifurcated campaign? This is your career too. And if you're in your 40s and you feel as though you're the next generation, why am I going to go pick up the tatters of a campaign and take on a buzzsaw like President Trump, who has never been stronger?
Yeah, so I think this Fox News host made a pretty good point talking about why would anybody want to jump into this race, considering how Biden's campaign is dying, okay? And considering how most people don't think that Biden is doing a good job. I think he makes a good point in the sense that nobody should want to be a part of that mess, right? I mean, at this point, the amount of gaslighting that comes from Democrats saying that Biden's policies are working and that they're great for the country and that everything is good, yeah, it's just not a popular thing to do. I think if you are a Democrat and you actually choose to jump into the race, you cannot run on Biden's policies. You cannot run on, well, what Biden did for this country was great. No, you literally are going to have to run on, no, we need to move in another direction, right? You're going to have to run a Democrat that's actually to the right of how the Biden administration has governed, right? They're going to have to run a Democrat that is more conservative. If they ran a Democrat that was more conservative, that was actually a real moderate or a centrist, then they probably might have a chance, right? That actually is their best chance. But if you look at their lineup of possible replacements for Joe Biden, Kamala, she's a progressive. She was one of the most progressive senators in Congress when she was there. Gavin Newsom, he's a progressive. Look at the state of California, a disaster because of progressivism. Gretchen Whitmer, she's probably a progressive as well, too. Okay, I'm just saying all of the replacements, none of them are moderate centrist Democrats who actually could campaign on, no, this is what the Biden administration did wrong. And this is how we're going to fix it, right? If they're not campaigning on that, then it's just not going to work. It doesn't matter who the messenger is. They've already tried this, okay? They've tried this with Gavin Newsom. They've tried this with Kamala Harris. You cannot come out here and sell a shit sandwich to the American people, okay? You can't do it. You can't put lipstick on a pig, right? You can't do it. That's what these Democrats are going to try to do. And if they try to do that, if that is the strategy, well, let's just replace Joe Biden, get somebody else in there, and they may sound better than Joe Biden, but hey, they're still pushing these policies of the Biden administration. It's not going to work. The American people are not going to fall for it. What the American people are looking for is the Democrats and the country really to go in a different direction. The Democrats are too damn progressive, right? They're too progressive. They need to become more conservative. They need to move back to the right, okay? If the Democrats want any chance of winning, they're going to have to run an actual centrist, right? That's what they're going to have to do. But again, Democrats are so dumb, okay, that they're not going to do that, right? They're way too progressive. Their base is way too progressive. And this is why I say that no matter what they do, doesn't matter who they replace Joe Biden with, they're going to lose, right? They're going to lose. Kamala gives them the best chance of winning. And this is why I think that if Joe Biden is replaced, the only option will be Kamala. But again, it is really a sad state of affairs for Democrats. It's a great state of affairs for the Republicans and Trump. And for me, right, and us, it's a great state of affairs for us. Sad state of affairs for Democrats that their party has essentially collapsed going into the election, right? It's hilarious because the collapse happened literally because of all the choices that Democrats made. The anti-democratic choices of the Democrat Party is why their whole party is collapsing before the election. Again, we're not even talking about the Israel-Gaza thing, which is still a thing, right? That's still a thing, okay? And then you have this other battle that is opened up on the Democrat Civil War, right? The coup against Joe Biden. Boy, you could not have wrote a better timeline for 2024. I am telling you, I am loving every second of this, okay? And the best part about it, Republicans are shutting up. Republicans are not saying anything. They're letting Democrats destroy themselves, and that's the best part about it, right? They finally learned. Allow your enemies to destroy themselves. Don't bother them while they do it, right? Just chill, okay? Just chill. Loving this. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.